Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are getting ahead of these Tuesday night games in the NBA playoffs as it's Monday as we record this best bets video for you. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. We've also got player props on the slate for you guys, so you can continue to follow along with us. Also head to thelines.com. You can check out all the great content we're putting up on the site around the NBA and more right now. And we also have that odds finder tool up there. You can use that to make sure that you are getting the best odds available to you from all these bets that you are making in the NBA this postseason. Can't go through the slate on Monday night with you guys yet and see how we did in our best bets picks there. So we'll just move right along into this first pick that you've got, Nate, as we're taking the Clips and a lot of points.
Plus 12 for the Clippers here in an elimination spot. And there's an outside chance that Kawhi Leonard plays, but that obviously would shift the line tremendously. I would just go ahead and bet this if you see this early up on Tuesday, because I think they cover even without Kawhi. They're obviously used to, after playing 2 games without him, lost by exactly 12 in game 4. And there's some things that are just not going to happen again that happened in that game, which also was played at home, where the Clippers just reek of the demise of the franchise. And it's not helpful, is basically what I'm saying. It's not helpful to play at home for this team right now. Because of all the crap that's going on. But outshot by 17 free throws for the Suns, a team that leads the league in mid-range attempts and gets to the line never. They only scored 17 points in the second quarter. Look, the Clippers are 4th in bench scoring and field goal percentage since the break. Their bench is hit a little bit because people are starting instead of Kawhi, but guys like Norman Powell, he's not shooting 4 for 15 again as a starter. He's going to be much better. And Russ continues to be revitalized as that top option, 31.5 points per game on 54-50, 93 splits, which is just absurd to think about, considering he was shooting 30-20, 60 for most of his time with the Lakers. And all of a sudden, he's thriving. Give Ty Lue credit. And Ty Lue, who is the craftiest coach around, said he has tricks up his sleeve. He's not lying, I promise you folks. He's 8-3 against the spread in road playoff games of the last couple of years. That includes, straight up beating Utah as dogs to close them out, beating Dallas as small favorites in Dallas to close them out. Their last 6, they've been underdogs on the road in the playoffs, and they've covered in 4 of those. They've won 3 of them. I'm not saying go plus 570 for the Clippers to win, but I trust that this will be a relatively close game. I think the Suns will actually be feeling more pressure than the Clips. They really need to get this over with because their guys are playing 45 minutes every time this series gets extended. So I think it'll be more pressure for them at home. And the Clippers will be playing with house money and playing fast and free, I think, enough to cover.
Yeah, I mean, you know what you're going to get from Russell Westbrook. He's going to be bringing it. So as long as, like you said, Norman Powell is able to get closer to his normal than what he was able to do there in the last game, where they still only lost by 12, obviously at home for the Clips in that one. But you expect much more from Norman Powell, who had a good performance there in game 2. Obviously, just still wasn't enough as they lost by 14 to the Suns, who were at home. So I guess the only fear is that, you have to sweat at the end there that maybe the Clips are down by double digits or they're down by 7 or 8. And then, you get a couple threes or free throws and that's what you're sweating. But I think the 12 points that you get without even knowing if Kawhi is going to play, because there is a possibility that he does. And if he does, then I think 12 is an even better bet. Obviously, what a take there that they're going to be way better with their best player.
And should mention, this is the first time this series that they've had 2 days off before playing. So yeah, he couldn't go after only 1 day off between games, but now he's getting treatment on Monday and maybe he is ready to play.
Yeah, you never know. It's not worth necessarily predicting with him, but you're on the right side of it if he does play with the plus 12, as that'll only go down in favor of the Clips. So, getting ahead of that is fine. And even if he doesn't play, like we were saying, I think the key here is that Russell Westbrook won't let them say die. And so this is not a team necessarily that you think is going to be a 1-2-3 Cancun team until you really step all over their throats, especially because they don't have PG and Kawhi, who, to be honest, I would accuse of being soft at the end of games and giving up when things are out of their reach. So Another team that I actually do think will be giving up and maybe saying 1-2-3 Cancun, hopefully by the end of the first quarter, is the Timberwolves, because I'm taking Denver -3 in the first quarter of this game. It's a 9.5-point spread, and I'm not necessarily scared of it, but I am scared of the way that Denver has sort of loafed around at the end of games that they were winning by double digits against this team, or take the third quarter of the third game where they were outscored by 15. And so that scares me a little bit, but I gotta believe that after losing that game in overtime that they probably should have won, that they, come back in this one with ferocity right out of the gate. And they are one of the best first quarter teams in the league. Only Memphis had a better plus minus than they did in this game in the regular season. The Timberwolves at about a +4 on the season. The Grizzlies were at +4.8 points per game in terms of their plus minus as a team in the first quarter. So I gotta continue to feel good about the Nuggets doing that in the postseason as well, as they have won the first two quarters in this series by an average of 6 points per game when they were at home last. So feeling pretty good about the fact that they already do come out strong, and that's on the back of Jokic coming out having the fourth most points per game in the first quarter in this postseason right now at 8.5, also 4.5 boards and 1.5 assists. So I expect him to come out and do that again. He's been doing his scoring early and then really seeming to look for other guys a little bit more. So if he's going to have that kind of intensity to get to the bucket and just put it on Gobert in Q1, then I'm going to continue to feel good about them being able to cover 3 points, which is about even money on DraftKings. It's actually 3.5 in a bunch of other books. So you're getting a pretty good deal there on DK.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with it. It's only one quarter, so you're talking about variance. You're talking about a 3-point spread. But I mean, the Wolves, I would not expect necessarily to come out strong. But who knows? I'll just give you guys a different way of betting the Nuggets, which clearly we both are thinking it's a 99% chance they win this game at home and wrap this series up. I'm going to stick to my guns to say Nuggets money line over 221. I mean, I was basically on the over and Ant to have a big performance in Game 4, and the over did not really hit. But I'll run that back. I'll just give you guys the odds on that same parlay, which has been money. Ant 30 points, 3 threes, over for the game, plus 300. If you just take Nuggets to win and the over, you're talking plus 165, which I really like. I mean, it's the Nuggets at home. They first of all, they're averaging 120 points per game their last 8 home playoff games. But look at this, what happened in the regular season. When they score at least 109 at home, they are 33-2 on the season, which is absolutely absurd. One of those is a random loss to Brooklyn. And then the previous one, you have to go all the way back to December 6th against Dallas. And, are they going to be able to continue scoring with ease? I mean, Joker had an easy 43 in this last game on just 26 field goal attempts. So, if Gobert's you're supposed to be your stopper and he's not doing his job in the individual matchup, you're in trouble. But Joker also a -14 with those 43 points, which shows you he's not a great defender. I mean, straight up, 116 defensive rating last 3. And the reason we like him so much, I'm continuing around his props, is he realized, wait, once I just beat my guy off the dribble, I can just lay it up whenever I want. Like, there is no rim protection here at all. It's just Jokic. So, I mean, the Wolves, there's momentum for both teams, I feel, offensively, because the Wolves scored 18 in overtime, feeling good about themselves, at least to get the win. The Nuggets, who just had no urgency, and that's basically why that last game did not go over, still able to close a 12-point deficit when they really turned it on. And like you said, they're going to turn it on at home. 6 of their last 8 home playoff games have gone over. 6 of the last 7 regular season meetings between these teams went over. And the Wolves are actually a much higher scoring team on the road. Really weird splits, but since the All-Star break, basically last 17 roadies, they scored 120 a game versus 111 at home down the stretch. So I do like the over, and obviously like the Nuggets to win.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and I like the fact that Ant Edwards is a guy that we've tried to predict what he's going to do. We were sort of scared to take him for the first couple games, and then he said that they were going to come back from down 3-0, and now you can rely on him. So even if everything else around that Timberwolves team and Ant is stagnant, and the spacing continues to be just awful and limited when you have Cat and Gobert on the floor at the same time, just speaking to the over point of that you're making, I think we know what we're getting from Ant at this point, because he's going to put his money where his mouth is. Also, I was going to bring up that Gobert was somebody I was eyeing for our player props video as well, as he continues to put up points, contributing to detracting from Nikola Jokic's individual offense or defensive rating, as he continues to allow guys to get to the basket pretty much at will. Maybe he doesn't want to foul, because I don't think he's as bad as he seemed to be, but Gobert is definitely taking advantage of the fact that, if he brings a lot of aggression on the offensive side of the floor and goes after those offensive boards, he can get buckets. And his points prop is at about 12.5 tonight, whereas he's been averaging about 15.5 in this series. So pretty good bet there for him to do that as well. I don't know what he's going to be like in a closing game. I've never really seen him bring it too much when he was on the Jazz. Obviously, they didn't get too far either in elimination games. So I don't know what his level of care is going to be, but I do think there's going to be points in this game, to your point. And obviously, we both like the Nuggets. So I'm going to finish things off with a bet in that Suns-Clips game once more here, Nate, and close it out with talking about KD, because I like the special that I'm getting on DraftKings right now for him to just score 20 points, 5 boards, and 5 assists. And it's only minus 110 on DraftKings for 1 unit. So, I looked at it and was like, that's still worth it to me. I thought it was going to be, when I first looked at it, my eyes immediately read 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, because he's gotten 25 points or more in every game in this series. So the fact that it's just 20, obviously the scariest part of this is probably the assists, but he's also gotten those assists every game in this series as well, averaging well above both, 5 boards and 5 assists. So if you look at how he's played with Phoenix, he's really cut into CP3's assists, which is why I was happy to take an under on Chris Paul's rebounds and assist prop recently over the weekend, because of the fact that he just hasn't been those are getting eaten into by KD specifically, who's, come in and averaged about 4 assists on this team. And that's since he's been here, CP3 has dipped from 9.5 assists per game to about 7.7. So that's obviously those assists you can see right where they're going into KD's pocket. So I continue to feel good about him to be able to get those. And the fact that Booker's so hot, man, like, I mean, I don't know how you're going to stop him. I would imagine that when Ty Lue says he's going to game plan for somebody on on the Suns, he's talking about Devin Booker, because, with KD, he's been fine, but the game plan for them has been obviously just get the ball out of his hands. And one of the biggest beneficiaries is obviously Devin Booker. So if he's going to game plan differently than he has been, it's going to be with a focus on Booker and not KD, probably allowing him to continue to get his and maybe even have the ball in his hands a bit more, with the option of doing what he wants to do. Obviously, that would lead him to getting points, but that's just a theory around how Ty Lue might game plan for him. Either way, with these props at the money that they are, basically minus, like I said, basically even money there, I feel pretty good about KD to get his in what I think they'll probably be the series clinching game.
Yeah, my question for you is what are the odds if you go 25 plus points? Because I mean, I don't think there's any.
I couldn't find it. I know
there's any chance he's going below 25.
They didn't offer it.
As we talked about, and basically in every game this series, it's like, look, KD and Booker are both getting 25. Like, for the Suns to win or lose, whatever. They had 60 last game on 60% combined field goal shooting, and that's the recipe. That's part of why I don't think the Suns can cover. Because it's like these guys can't miss shots at all. They're like the margin is really slim, even against a pretty shorthanded Clippers team, which makes me already want to get ahead of the Nuggets beating the Suns in the next round, or looking at futures there, because they're just so thin, and there is some concern there. But KD, he's got to do it all exactly because they're thin.
Yeah.
So I like this. This is a real nice conservative bet. This is right up my alley. Yeah. Let's get a nice bankroll builder.
Yeah, I figured Nate would like a nice conservative bet that still gets you close to even money, and all KD has to do is score 20 points and just do what he does every game, five boards and 5 assists. And yeah, I think, as far as like the covering for the Clippers, like you said, the margin of error is so small. I think maybe we run through a potential revisit what those futures markets look like maybe next week, now that we know that there's at least one team in by the time that the games that we just talked about play. We could have 2 more teams in the second round. And we're already ready to talk about some of these futures and get ahead of some stuff here, some of these matchups and things, and get some of those juicy odds that are available to you if you get the right futures bets under your belt. So that's all the time we have in this one, though. Make sure to check out the player props video that we have, as we're looking to stay hot on the week, assuming that we did super well on Monday night, but we also had a nice week last week. So we'll continue along with those. And until we see you next, happy betting.